Podcast with Halsey Allen. The Narrative Podcast is changing the narrative one episode at a time.
Hello and good evening. Welcome to another edition of the Narrative Podcast. The Narrative Podcast is the home of original people peace, original people reciprocity, and original people positivity. The Narrative Podcast promotes positive reinforcement of original people and original people culture. The Narrative Podcast provides positive frames of reference about original people and original people culture. Welcome to the Narrative Podcast, and I am your host, Halsey Allen. So welcome to this weekend edition of the Narrative Podcast. I really tried the earlier episode, or try to do an upload earlier today, but the day got away from me. But just rest assured, this is a Saturday episode. If it gets shared back to the social on Sunday, because I'm recording late Saturday evening. But anyway, welcome to the Narrative Podcast. Got a pretty good show for you today. Just want to start out by acknowledging one Miss Simone Biles. She is just tearing it up out there, in the Olympics right now. She's like a little dynamo, as they say. Dynamite comes in small packages. She's a small package of dynamite, just killing it out there. So let's make some noise for Simone Biles. But anyway, got a pretty good show for you this evening. Yeah, man. So here we are in August. This year has flown by. We're almost into the fall, and then after fall, we know 25 right around the corner. I hope everybody's getting ready, getting prepared for everything that's coming around the corner for our people, and most of the stuff is not good, so be making proper preparations. But anyway, back to the content. For those unfamiliar with my platform, what I do before diving into the content, I give a brief overview, about what the Narrative Podcast is about, and then dive into the content. So yeah, here we go, right on into the synopsis of the Narrative Podcast. Starting at the top, Tippy, the name, the Narrative Podcast. I name my podcast the Narrative Podcast because I don't like the false narrative that the liberal media weaves about original people and original people culture. I get to the original part a little bit later on in the segment. So what I wanted to do to counter the way that misrepresent our people and our culture is design a platform where I'm highlighting and showcasing us at our best instead of at our worst, the way the media does. The media intentionally vilifies our people, propagates negative stereotypes, and plays up negative stigmas within our culture about our people. So, it's all a form of psychological warfare, just along with systemic programming and conditioning. So, to break that cycle, that's essentially why I created this platform. My mission statement is to educate and inform people, especially our people, of why it's important to, properly responsibly utilize your platforms to share positive frames of reference about our people and our culture, and then also to encourage people, the listening audience, to responsibly use their platforms to responsibly use their platforms to share positive frames of reference about our people and our culture, or just basically responsibly utilize their platforms. Just watch what type of content they're putting out when it comes to our people and our culture. Now I think that's a perfect segue for my tagline, the Narrative Podcast, changing the narrative one episode at a time by destroying negative stereotypes about original people and original people culture. How do I destroy the negative stereotypes about our people and our culture? By providing positive frames of reference about our people and our culture. And that's entirely what the Narrative Podcast is dedicated towards doing, is sharing positive frames of reference about our people and our culture, and encouraging the listening audience to do the exact same. I think the first nuance you need to be familiar with my platform is that I refer to my target listening audience as my narrators, and I do that pretty much as acknowledgement to the day and times that we're living in. We're living in the digital information age. We're gathering and sharing information online. Everybody, pretty much anybody that has a device, whether it be a cell phone, whether it be a tablet, or laptop, desktop, we all have access to digital information, and we collect data, and then we also share information or share stories. Pretty much every digital platform has a bio section. In the bio section on any platform, a person basically shares whatever they want users to know about them. And usually, they share the best possible details about themselves to make themselves look exciting or interesting as possible. And then they load content to kind of reflect, things that will cement what they want the people that view their content to know about them. And it's usually something positive. People online, they post the best versions of themselves as possible. There's not a whole lot of people that sharing, negative, miserable things about themselves. There are some, it's exceptions to the rules. There are some people, some crybabies online. They just every day it's something like nothing positive. Pray for me, this is going wrong and that's going wrong, and I gotta go to the doctor, and this happened to me and that happened to me. Just like there are people like that, but for the most part, everybody wants to tell the most positive story about themselves as possible. And then sometimes, even if it ain't true at all, I guess the younger generation call it capping, where they're exaggerating how they're actually living. But anyway, for the most part, said all that to say, people, share the best versions of themselves as possible. They're telling or narrating their own stories. So, and that's what I feel as a people, our people, original people, need to do about ourselves. We need to control the narrative by telling or narrating our own stories. Because if history hasn't taught us anything, it's taught us this. If you don't tell your own story will be told for you. So the last thing we need to be doing online is regurgitating all these negative stereotypes and stigmas that the media projects onto us and propagates about us. So we don't need to be, sharing gang culture and gun culture and criminalistic lifestyles and low morality and degeneracy. We don't need to be, sharing imagery that are reflective of all those low vibrational lifestyles. We want to be sharing content where, we're triumphing in the face of adversity, being leaders, being entrepreneurs, living positive, doing positive, impactful things for our communities, for our families, and, for the entire world. We need to be sharing our true natures as often as possible. And what is our true nature? Our true essence of beings of who we are as a people. We're kings and queens and gods and goddesses of the universe. So, everything we post online should be semi-reflective of that. And then that's how we kind of control the narrative. Because while the media is ran by evil, wicked people with the evil, wicked agenda at the core of it, at the core of it is a business. And the first law of business is supply and demand. And, unfortunately, they have selected our people to make us the face of all things degenerate. And we keep on creating the demand for degeneracy by keep on, subscribing to their narrative. And the way we can just, remove that and flip it and change the narrative is to, post positive content reflective of, what we want as a people. We don't want to be portrayed as gangbangers. We don't want to be portrayed as, criminals. We don't want to be portrayed as lazy, buffoonish, violent, quick, hot-tempered and violent and problematic, overly boisterous. We don't want to be portrayed that way. So, we have to post content reflective of how we want to be portrayed. And, the business side of it, the corporations, they'll follow suit and they'll create, more content based on, their statistical research and data. And, but for now, that's why all these negative frames of reference exist about our people. All these crappy television shows, movies, books, literature, ads, commercial ads, and other forms of media negatively depicting our people's images and likenesses exist because we create the platform for it to exist by engaging and entertaining that type of content. So not saying it's the end all be all solution to change the narrative, but it is a solution. So, that's how we kind of moving forward. That's what we should do. I'm not the internet police. I'm not trying to tell people, especially content creators, people to get paid by posting content with the post on their page. I'm just saying, be mindful of what you post, because it comes with a double-edged sword. While you may get the views and the likes, you'll also get judged and looked at by people outside of our culture, and that's how they interact and receive us, respond to us based on the content you're posting. Because all the media is giving them is negative frames of reference. They don't know how to talk to us. They don't know how to engage us and act around us. They're only judging us based off what they see on television and in movies and hearing music and reading books and magazines about us. And it's all negative. But anyway, which brings me to my next point. The Narrator Podcast is a positive space for original people. I try to keep it as positive as possible. I don't engage in gossip, slander, or denigration of our people in any form or facet. This is all about a life celebration. I'm speaking life over our people by providing positive frames of reference about our people and our culture. This is just one big high five. So yeah, I don't do gossip and slander and name calling and roasting and all that, and I don't encourage it. I try to discourage against it, because I believe that is kind of what's propelling the culture downward. And there's literally $1 trillion a year to be made off of our people from just simply our people going at it back and forth online, airing each other out, airing out dirty laundry and being mean and calling each other names online and going back and forth. So I don't want to feed the machine, so I don't try to promote or endorse that type of content. So it's just basically uplifting and edifying our people through positive frames of reference. So this is a positive, safe space. You will never hear no negativity or name calling coming from me about our people. Now, however, the exception to that rule, this is a place of truth also. I tell it how a TI is. I don't sugarcoat anything. If I do feel somebody in our community is intentionally playing up negative stereotypes about our people and our culture, what I will do is call said individual out for doing that. But other than that, I don't I'm not the judge. I don't finger point and name call. But I do tell the truth. Which brings me to my next point. Anytime I also deliver commentary. So if anytime I say a famous person's name, it's not to try to garner clicks, views, and likes, and what have you. It's basically to illustrate a point that I'm trying to make, and the point that I'm always trying to make on my platform is, I try to frame everything up from the bigger picture perspective, and pretty much anything negative that happens in our community can almost a good 85 to 90% of the time be traced back to systemic programming and conditioning. So anything negative that is celebrities engaging in or talking about or doing or involved in, 85 to 90% of that is systemic programming and conditioning. We're programmed and conditioned to interact and perceive one another and perceive ourselves in a certain way by, the content we're absorbing on a daily basis. And all the content we're absorbing on a daily basis is all negative. It starts in the public schools, and it takes root and manifests in our psyches, and we subconsciously act out on it. We get emotionally triggered behind what the types of negative messages that are embedded in our psyches, in television, movies, music, and everything else we absorb within our culture, even the food nowadays. So everything has a vibration, everything has a frequency. Like I said, the powers that shouldn't be kind of control all that when it comes to our people and our culture. So every time you see a negative flare up in our community, it can be, linked and associated with that negative programming and conditioning. So said all that to say, like, if I ever bring up a famous person's name, it's not to attach my, platform to a trending topic. It's just breaking down whatever they're going through from our perspective, because the media have us intentionally looking and sounding crazy, intentionally have them looking and sounding crazy. So yeah, that's why I do it, but never to finger point, name call, or denigrate. The next point, this is a time-sensitive platform. I try not to exceed 1 hour per broadcast. I try to keep everything short, sweet, and to the point, because I don't want to, bore you guys to sleep. I don't want to have my content be redundant. I want to keep it fresh, exciting, and make it digestible. I want to inform you and entertain you at the same time, and I want to, have my listening audience attentive and receptive to all the content that I'm presenting to them. And I can't do that if I'm droning on and just talking to be talking and not making any valid points or just going down rabbit holes. So that's why I try to not to exceed 1 hour. So, I'm just keeping it brief and to the point. And also another benefit of that is you don't have to clear your entire schedule if you miss a couple episodes of the Narrator podcast, which is a perfect segue for a plug, a shameless plug. Download this episode and all previously recorded episodes of the Narrator podcast, wherever you get your podcast information from. And then last but not least, on this platform, I refer to our people as original people. I refer to our people as original people for two very distinctive reasons. Reason number one is historically accurate. We were and are the original people of this world. We were here thousands of years before any other race, religion, ethnicity, culture, creed, whatever you want to call it. We was here first. We inhabited every single corner of the globe, every single continent. We pretty much invented every single thing you can think of, especially here in the Americas, whereas, we learn in the public school systems, they try to credit certain people. All the fathers of invention have been pretty much credited with inventing things, and that's not the real deal. Actually, slaves invented pretty much all the super duper important stuff here in America during the Industrial Revolution. However, the credit went to white people because of, our people were enslaved. That's why they invented the patent system. So, they didn't have to give credit to the slaves. But, yeah, that's primarily why I refer to our people as original people on the historical side of it, and then the sidebar that I always want to tack on to that point, I want to make a quick little sub point. The false narrative about our people is that, history tries to make slavery the most poignant, relevant part of our existence. And the thing about slavery is just there's a whole lot of untruths about it. I'm not going to get into every single truths about it. I'm just going to highlight the most untrue thing about it is that it's presumed that all of us got to every single corner of the globe on a slave boat. So why I just said, the original people, we were here first. We inhabited every single corner of the globe, even North and South Pole. We wasn't just all huddled in one spot. So there's a stand to reason that they just kept going back and forth to Africa, getting slaves. No, it does not. That doesn't even make scientific sense, just common sense. They don't, especially here in the Americas. The majority of us were already here. So I just always have to point out that false narrative. History always accredits us, slavery, as the most poignant, relevant time in our existence. While slavery did happen, it was real, it was brutal, it was barbaric. Every single last one of us did not get to wherever we resided at, through chattel slavery. We already, just scientifically, the colonizers went to these different places, air quotes, the new world, when they were out discovering things. And what they did is just enslave the original indigenous peoples of that land wherever they touched down at. They just enslaved them people, especially here in the Americas. So while they did go to Africa and get some slaves, they didn't just hundreds of years just keep on going back and forth to the continent getting all of them. Like, there's no nautical logs to support that. They got hand-drawn illustrations of it. No route. They got a few websites with no actual real concrete proof, of the route, of people's involved. Pretty much you can go and do your own research and you will find out, like Library of Congress or any college database. Look up professors that dabble in that, and you will see that pretty much, what I'm saying is true. Colonizers enslaved original indigenous people of all the lands that they, air quotes, discovered. So the second reason why I refer to our people as original people is, as a tool to help unify our people as one. Because just as I said, we hail from many different lands. We all come from, hail from many different land masses, speak different languages, come in different hues and shades. We all have different backgrounds, different religions, spiritual practices, nationalities, refer to ourselves as different things, but a couple things that we have in common: we can all trace our lineage back to the original point of origin for all civilization, and we all have extremely high concentrations of carbon, aka melanin. So that's the the building blocks of us as a people. We all have that in common. So we're original. We can all trace our original lineage back to the original origin point for all original, civilization. Everything, literally everything, was started with us and was derived from us. We founded civilization. We mothered and fathered civilizations. We're our original people. So I think that's just about it. That's everything you need to know about the Narrator podcast. If I skimmed over anything, or if you're still hazy or unclear about what I'm trying to do here, I'm over 300 episodes in, and you can most definitely just backtrack and go through my episode log and fill in the blanks. But off to my first section of the Narrator podcast. This section is called the highlights section. In this section, what I'm doing is I'm highlighting businesses owned and operated by original people. And the reason why I'm highlighting businesses owned and operated by original people is to stay true to my mission statement, which is to provide positive frames of reference about our people and our culture. And I feel the need to provide that particular frame of reference about our people and our culture because we don't have a lot of frames of reference of people within our culture owning and operating their own businesses. The very few frames of references that we have about people within our culture owning and operating their own businesses are tainted, with degeneracy, because they come to us in the form of scripted reality television shows, and the producers on these shows want to, put us out in the worst possible light as possible. They want to, bring up degeneracy. They want to show us engaged in, violence towards one another. They want to show us engaged in lewd, degenerate acts such as, fornicating on camera, indulging in controlled substances, alcohol, just being loud and messy, and all for the for the ratings. They want to just have us making fools of ourselves, and everybody they try with making us fools out of ourselves, fools out of our parents, or anybody that tried to raise us, and just creating cringe moments. But I bypass all of that because number one, I'm an audio platform, and so what I'm attempting to do in the highlight section is basically walk you through an entrepreneur's journey, showcasing and highlighting, entrepreneurialism, that it is possible to, start your own business, because like I said, due to systemic programming and conditioning, they got us believing that, we have to be dependent on our government. It's not possible to ever get off that hamster wheel. So the frames of reference that I provide here in this section is just regular people that was passionate about something, didn't necessarily have a business plan, didn't necessarily have all the education that it takes to be business owners, but they were passionate about something, and they they dedicated themselves towards it, and learned as they went, and started a business. So I'm giving you the frame of reference about entrepreneurialism that way, without all the messiness, without all the drama. Just telling you their story, where they grew up, how they came up with the idea, just all stages of, of how to run a business. That's what I'm attempting to give you in the highlight section. Um, but some of that information is just not available, like where they went to school and, what towns they came from, I try to provide the listening audience with all that, basically give you the business owner's bio, because all that's important. But everything's just not readily available. Sometimes it just is what it is. I can't find all the information sometimes, but for the most part, that's what I attempt to give you in this section. Where they were born, approximately how old they are, what year they started the business, how they acquired their funds to start the business, their mission statement, everything that comes along with being a business owner. Also, how I select people that I'm going to highlight. I usually use this criteria. Number one, first and foremost, they're original people, owned and operated. So like I said, I refer to our people as original people, as opposed to black or African American or Negro or whatever you call us. I refer to us as original people on this platform. But of course, that they're original people, owned and operated. They hire their own, they give back to the community, they are engaged in some type of philanthropy. They either donate to a nonprofit organization, or they are their own nonprofit organization. They give some type of service back to the community. And then last but not least, they coincide with my theme. And my theme that I've selected, I was doing the seasons, summer, winter, fall, spring, businesses synonymous with the seasons. But then I'm like, I noticed I was being repetitive with my content. So now I've shifted from that, and I'm doing just nationally recognized holidays. So whatever the day is, whatever the calendar day is, a business that, coincides with the nationally recognized day. So, having said that, today on the highlight section, today is August 3rd, and today is National Watermelon Day. I will be highlighting businesses that coincide with the production and selling of watermelons. So I'm going to start off with a little fun fact, or not so fun fact, depending on how you look at it. There's a negative stereotype about our people overly indulging in or liking watermelon. So there's a whole lot of memorabilia here, especially here in the United States of America. You will see many tropes, many figurines, and products featuring our people with extremely dark skin, big pale lips, usually like eating watermelon, and taking delight and pleasure of enjoying watermelon. So where that negative trope came from was actually just hate. It was rooted in hate from the American farmer, because it was born in the Jim Crow era. So like right after slavery was air quote abolished, and it never was, it just really took form. That's why I say air quote abolished. But when slavery was abolished, a lot of our people, especially in the South, became sharecroppers. And then their prize crop, of course, was the watermelon. Now, in sharecropping was basically you were given, land. You cultivate the land, and that's why they call them sharecropping, because you're sharing your crops for profit, and basically you're paying money for what you already cultivate. You got to go sell the eggs and the produce and the meat on your farm to people like the butcher, and back then it was general stores or wholesalers, to sell your product. Well, of course, with our people, that would give us way below market. So they was doing even white people dirty in the sharecropping business. Like you 10-year farm, they probably give you like a nickel for 100 bushels of wheat, and like for our people, they probably give you like two cents or 1 penny for like 100 bushels. So, but longer story short, most of our people became sharecroppers, and the prize crop, which allowed them not to be living in complete poverty, was the watermelon. We came with that ancestral knowledge how to cultivate the melon, because it was originally, located in Africa. And the lore goes, like a whole lot of us, on the slave ships, when they went over there, supposedly taking us from Africa, like they bought seeds, watermelon seeds, and they cultivated the melon on the air quotes New World, and they knew how to grow watermelon, is where I'm going with it. And our people became extremely gifted with growing watermelon. And so over time, the watermelon kind of replaced, the cash cow, which was cotton at the time. The watermelon, superseded cotton. So it became like the most valuable produce in the United States, and other farmers, people that didn't look like us, they couldn't properly grow it. Their melons compared to our melons were inferior. They just couldn't figure out how to grow the perfect watermelon. So basically it was just like a propaganda machine to discourage our people from wanting to cultivate watermelon, to create basically shame for enjoying watermelon. And watermelon is super healthy, it's good for you, it has lycopene, it has so many health benefits, hydrates your cells, supercharges your cells, helps you lose weight, helps you feel full, helps you lose weight, helps regulate your body's internal temperatures, keeping them, regulated, keeping your body heat regulated, good for your urinary tract, good for your gut health. Just so many benefits on top of benefits on top of more benefits from enjoying water. But basically, they try to vilify or just basically try to stigmatize, enjoying watermelon. So that was an attempt to get black farmers to stop cultivating watermelon. So that's where that negative stereotype came from about us and watermelon. But anyway, so the two businesses, the first business I'll be highlighting in the highlight section of the Narrative Podcast is a business This specializes in the production and of selling watermelon and watermelon smoothies and juices and all things watermelon. And this business is called Black Seed Brothers. Black Seed Brothers was established in 2018 by a brother by the name of Terrell Dixon and Kiana Miles. They both noticed a lack of food options in that area, and the area is like Queens, New York. So to accommodate that, they would take trips to various farms down south and sell seeded watermelon. So just kind of like a little food truck, selling them whole, selling them by the slices, juicing them, making smoothies from the watermelon, like using like the entire watermelon, making it readily available as, you know, if you're familiar with New York City, it's a pretty much kind of a food desert. There's not a whole lot of clean food. They have like bodegas, and you know, most of that food is super processed. Some of them do sell like deli sandwiches and the chopped cheese and all that, bacon, egg, cheese, but you know, that stuff is not good for you. The whole lot of them ain't even sanitary. That flat top that they cook that stuff on got 90 years of grease on it. The deep fryers ain't probably got 100 years. They don't probably ever filter and drain the grease in the deep fryers. And then the product themselves in the actual grocery part of the bodega is like out-of-date product, out-of-date chips, everything stale, on the verge of spoilage. Got that funky smell to it. But anyway, so that's why they presented, you know, fresh food options to, you know, counter the area being a veritable food desert, and they wanted healthy, clean options for themselves and their people. So thus Seed Brothers was born. They sell, you know, the entire watermelon. You know, as I said, in the South it was swine. They would be like from the rooter to the tutor. So like that's the same principle for the watermelon. They sell it in its entirety. They sell the seeds. They sell the flesh of the watermelon. They even do stuff with the rind of the watermelon. So, you know, it's a completely sustainable product. Very easy to grow. You know, it's not so easy to grow indoors. So if you're not a homeowner, it's kind of If you're not if you're, you know, it's going to be hard to grow a watermelon indoors. Is what I'm saying. But now, like, you know, you can probably like grow them on the roof. You know, if you have a terrace or something like that. But indoors, nah, it's a no go. But it's definitely well worth it. You know, you can like juice watermelon. You can make smoothies out of it. You can eat it straight up. I love it. I can never get enough of it. I will share a little overshare. Growing up, long time ago, this is due to systemic programming and conditioning. I was just 4 and 5. I didn't know about stereotypes, but I just kind of felt weird. So it was like super hot. I think it was like the second week of July. It was a little bit after a little bit after the 4th of July weekend. So it was like 6, 7, 8. I was over my grandma's house, and super duper hot outside, rambunctious. You know how children are like. So I'm just, she's like, go outside and play, like, because I'm just, all over the house. And so I'm in the yard. She's like, don't leave the yard. Okay, you can play outside, but just don't leave the yard. So I'm in the yard. It's hot, super hot. So my grandma, she sliced up a watermelon. She said, "You want some of this watermelon? It's it's cold and refreshing." And I'm like, okay. I'm thinking I'm about to go inside, but no. She still kind of had the picnic table out from the previous 4th of July. Just, we had all our stuff, the little canopy and everything. So I'm kind of got shade, but not really, because it's super hot outside. Longer story short, she brings the watermelon out to me, like the big giant wedge of it. I didn't want to eat it outside. I don't know why. I was just like, I didn't know about stereotypes and all that. Because my grandma, she knew I loved watermelon. So I was just like, I didn't want to eat the watermelon outside. So my uncles, they're back and forth to the penitentiary. So they like super militant. And then my grandma, she was like puzzled. She didn't want to figure out why I didn't want to eat it. She like, and then my uncle's like, "Mama, he don't want to eat it outside." It's like, why? And then he was just like, and then he just kind of shot her a look, and then it was just like an unspoken like thing in our culture. And then she finally put it together, like, so I got to eat the watermelon inside. It's sad that, they did that to our people. But anyway, so back to these brothers. Their mission statement is to encourage people to eat nutritious foods and take better care of their bodies, elevate the community through health and wellness, and also to empower and impact the communities in a positive way. They're blood-related brothers, so I'm giving you the, positive frame of reference of generational wealth. If you want to know more, visit healthstation.org. Pardon me, sometimes I can't read my own handwriting. Got really messy handwriting. So 100 in the physical address is 139 and Lenox Avenue in New York City. And let's put our hands together to give these two brothers, Terrell Dixon and Kiana Miles, a warm narrative podcast round of applause. And I forgot one section. Black Seed Brothers was established in 2018. Now, next business I'll be highlighting, the highlight section of the Narrator podcast, is a business called Sister Seeds. Sister Seeds was established in I don't think the article did say what year. I'm thinking 2018. By a sister by the name of Armina Mitchell. She got into agriculture at a very young age. She grew up on a farm in Georgia. She got involved. She did a whole lot of moving around in her early years. So taking it beyond knowing what she wanted to do as she became an adult. She was involved in project out in Boston called The Food Project, and she was only 14 when she participated in that project, and that was kind of the catalyst that sent her, to starting her own, farm. And then from there, she studied environmental science at Spelman College. And then after that, she moved to Philadelphia to learn more about, farming, and earned her degree in horticulture from the Temple University in Philadelphia. And then from there, she opened Seed Sisters, with the initiative, growing up in her roots, that Geechee culture in Georgia. She studied, the diaspora, like all the plants that they use in Geechee culture, like the okra and tomato and stuff like that, how to cultivate, how to farm and cultivate the vital produce that we need to sustain our bodies. And by our, I mean original people, things that kind of, the living sources of energy we need to properly stay in proper nutrition. So that's essentially why she created Sister Seeds. So what they do is they sell seeds. They also have a few already full grown, but it's mostly like vegetation, like heirloom tomatoes and okra and those greens that VP Kamala Harris says she specializes in. They got those. The kind that she be washing in the bathtub. But yeah, they just do a whole lot of fresh food, and then of course, in stride with my highlight section, in stride with the topic of the highlight section, which is watermelon, because it's watermelon day. She also sells watermelon seeds. She sells a variety of seeds to, plant, and among those are watermelon seeds. So if you want to know more about what she does at Sister Seed, go to sisterseeds.com and you can read more about the project. You can also donate as well if you want to donate your money or some time to, help out with that organization. They grow and cultivate seeds, and then they sell them, and they buy little plots of land as well to employ people, and also to educate them, and also share sustainable food with the community that's free of toxins, free of pesticides and other harmful things. So support the cause. Go to Sister Seed, and that's sister, not sister. SISTAH or SIST, yeah, AH. I can't spell it now, but it's sister, not sister. Seeds. And join me in giving our sister that created the program, Amina Mitchell, a Warm Narrative Podcast, round of applause. And then in my next section on the Narrator Podcast is a spotlight section. This section is dedicated towards this is the positive reinforcement section. And in this section, what I'm doing is I'm giving positive reinforcement to impactful people within our community, doing positive things in our community and impacting our community in a positive way with their platform, giving back to our community through philanthropy or advocacy or social activism or awareness, or just carrying and conducting themselves in a positive way on a public platform. So yeah, that's why the whole nature of the spotlight section exists. It also exists to promote, positive reinforcement, set the tone and trend for utilizing your platform to say something positive about a brother or sister, giving them their roses for doing something positive, instead of utilizing your platform to, say something negative about a brother or sister, which unfortunately a lot of us are programmed and conditioned into doing that. The powers that shouldn't be got us believing the only way you can accrue money online is to be messy online. Air, degenerate content, talk negatively about your brother or sister, put them down, make negative comments, slander their names, air out dirty laundry, go back and forth in the comments. It's literally like $1 billion a year business, and unfortunately our people, it has become the catalyst of that business, because like I said, through psychological systemic programming and conditioning that they've been doing to our people, we fuel that industry. So what I want to do on this platform is design, this section, the spotlight section of the Narrator Podcast, is basically to, encourage the listening audience to use positive reinforcement. What's the old saying? You attract more bees with honey. So that's my ideology behind that, is to basically uplift and edify our people with positive reinforcement, giving them their roses for doing something positive. Now, when I start this section, I used to just only do celebrities, so like celebrities and public figures, like recording artists, comedians, actors, actresses, athletes, religious figures, YouTubers, TikTokers, just like social media influencers. Those are the people that I used to highlight in the highlight section. I've moved away from that because I don't want to play into the negative stereotype of, that's all we know how to do is entertain. So lately, as of late, I've just been trying my very best to highlight regular people. I might start highlighting celebrities again, because our celebrities, they get done really dirty. The only time we see them is when they're going off to jail or involved in some type of scandal, some type of love triangle, some type of something criminal, some type of criminality, something involved in guns and violence, or lewd sexual acts. That's the only time we're seeing celebrities within our community. That's what they want to focus on, not all the positive things they do and people they help, and the communities they try to uplift. But anyway, I will say I think I've been doing a lot of good on my platform, because I know for a fact that I created the way for spotlighting. Because before I started the spotlight section on my platform, the Narrative Podcast, nobody was spotlighting anybody. Now all of a sudden we got a spotlight section. Spotlight this, spotlight that. Spotlight. You know, which is cool. Because like I said, I'm here to uplift and edify our community. So now that so many people now are spotlighting, that makes me feel good. Because even though, you know, the stats are saying I'm not being impactful, I obviously am. I know I got a whole lot of, you know, famous, influential people is kind of down with my program. They just give me a little, you know, a little nod, a little wink that they're listening. Because if they wasn't, you know, my content wouldn't appear in their content. Like all my nuances I have on the Narrative Podcast, you know, the things I say and the way I say the things I say, people like are doing that, and they wasn't before. So the internet makes the world small. I got a whole lot of people listening to me, and I'm changing the narrative. I'm impacting the culture. So, you know, if I was in it for just the money, I'd have quit a long time ago. But that's cool that I'm kind of changing the narrative and steering our people away from being messy online and being more productive and wanting positive solutions and positive relationships, using their platforms for positivity instead of negativity. So, you know, and on that note,
you are now listening to the Narrative Podcast with Halsey Allen. The Narrative Podcast is changing the narrative one episode at a time.
In a real way. So now, on with this week's spotlight of the Narrative Podcast. This week's spotlight goes to a brother by the name of Rashawn Miller. Rashawn Miller, because he started an organization called Eustress Incorporated in 2013. Eustress is a nonprofit organization that deals with mental health. So we have, unfortunately, we have a lot of mental health crisis within our community, lack of proper facilities to receive mental health, and acknowledge when you need therapy for your mental health. Because within our culture, unfortunately, you know, religion plays a big role in that. Because we've been, you know, with the Jesus programming, that all you got to do is pray and don't do nothing on your end. You know, our people, original people, we receive a whole lot of psychological trauma from childhood on into adulthood, and a lot of us can't deal with it, and a whole lot of PTSD, and just from having them damn folks play with us in our face, you know, with the systemic programming and conditioning, and it's just like all that violence happening around us, all that negativity on television and you know, music, all that negativity we absorb. A lot of us are just walking around ticking time bombs, and a whole lot of us, unfortunately, self-medicate ourselves to deal with it. You know, whether it's through alcoholism, illegal substances, barbiturates, what have you. Sex, some people, you know, everybody got a little vice. But food, But whatever. This particular brother, he created this program because he had a plethora of mental health issues. Among them he had like several. I think his biggest one was like depression and schizophrenia. He himself was a recovering addict and addicted to alcohol, and I think his bio said some drugs too, but he didn't. He somehow found the strength to, pull out of that nosedive and lift himself up and find the strength that he needed to reach out and help people that was on the same path to destruction he was. And so, like, that's really good, because a lot of people, not just our community, when they do pull themselves up, when they fall down and get their life right, they'll just turn their back, disassociate themselves with any people like that, and look down on people that's going through the same thing that they went through. But this brother, he stayed down to earth and said, hey, I'm going to be a part of I'm going to be the solution, and he's going to be solution based. I don't want he didn't want anybody to suffer the way he was suffering, so he created that program. He said, like, okay, well, how can I impact my community in a positive way? How can I tell my story? And he created You Stress, and he has helped a whole lot of people and turned a whole lot of people's lives around. And his motto is be who you needed to be when you were younger. So I'm guessing that means, like, be the person that you needed. You needed, like, when people go down on that downward spiral, they need somebody to be the helping hand to reach in and help them up. Now, I'll say this is like kind of a double-edged sword with that. Is sometimes you can't help everybody, because, like, some people don't want to be helped, and some people in that position, some people got to hit rock bottom, because if you reach in and help them, they'll be dependent on the help, and they won't get themselves right. So some people, you got to stand back and just, like, unfortunately let them suffer, especially like loved ones, because all of us got loved ones. It's just like, lost in the sauce or whatever, and you can't do nothing but love them from afar. You can't, like, give them the help they need, because they'll abuse your help. So you gotta just, like, of course, like, I don't know, like, pay all their bills for them. Try to, make sure they got proper nourishment and their basic necessities, but you can't be around them. You know what I mean? So we all got people like that within our, our loved ones in our family, really close friends, in that type of situation. But sometimes you just can't help everybody. Anyway, so if you want to know more about his nonprofit organization, go to eustress.org, and it's EUSTRES. It's pronounced Eustress, but it's spelled EUSTRES. So EUSTRES Inc.org, eustressinc.org is the link for his nonprofit organization. He's a public speaker. He does TED Talks, and hosts all kind of community events and mixers where he's keeping the conversation of mental health going, and it's a much needed thing within our community. So as in the therapy world, the only way to get help from the problem is to acknowledge you have a problem, and this brother's keeping the conversation of having a problem not be a problem by acknowledging it. You know what I mean? It's like you can't get the help if you don't say you need the help. So he's creating a space for people that needs help to verbally say I need help, and help me, and that's what he's doing with his platform. So go over to ustressinc.org. They have a donation button. Go find out more about that. Find out how you can be a help, or how you can use their resources to help somebody you may know that's going through something. So let's give our brother Rashawn Miller a Warm Narrative podcast round of applause for being the spotlight recipient this week on the Narrative Podcast Weekend Edition. And next section is called the Health and Wellness section. In this section, I'm talking about health and wellness tips, because I believe health is wealth. The reason why I'm doing this section is because our people, unfortunately, we are very sick people. Largely to do with we're being singled out. They're putting things that are very harmful in the air, toxic in the water, toxic in our food, and then psychologically attacking us, attacking our finances, attacking our spirits. Yeah, spiritual warfare is real. And so in this section of the Narrative Podcast, I'm giving tips that'll help us, our people, original people, armor up in all the areas that we're being attacked, so we can live prosperous, happy, healthy, productive lives. A disclaimer before getting into the health and wellness tip of the day. Well, first of all, I'm going to give examples of the types of tips I give, but just a disclaimer. This podcast is for anybody to listen to, anybody from any background. You can listen to this podcast if you have an open mind and you consider yourself progressive and you want to learn about different people's cultures and everything, and try to educate yourself and be a part of the solution, not part of the problem. However, my target demographic is my people, original people. And I don't subscribe to the narrative that we're just, we're all one in this kumbaya, and we're all one blood, and we're just not. That's not how the Creator made us. Whoever you call yourself believing in, God, Jesus, Allah, Buddha, if you believe in vibrational frequency energy, the ancestors, whatever you call yourself believing in. We were not created all equal. We're not all one. We have different cultural things that separate us. We just have natural nuances about us. We all vibrate in a different way culturally. We all have cultural dietetic needs, whereas within one culture, a certain group of people can eat that food every single day, and it would sustain their lives well into hundreds of years beyond the year that they were born. And operate totally healthy, whereas another group, they can eat it, if they eat it more than one day, more than a week, they'll start developing, severe problems. Within our culture, we are the people of the sun. The sunlight nourishes us. The more we're exposed to it, the healthier we become. The clearer our skin becomes, we'll become more mentally cognitive. Our hair will get longer. We'll become more focused. We'll just be, our cells will get supercharged the more we're exposed to it. Whereas other people that don't possess high concentrations of melanin, they develop skin diseases. Their skin will peel and flake, and they'll become physically ill from getting exposed to the sun. So we're not all the same people. We all got different needs, mentally, physically, and spiritually. On the spiritual side of it, we all acknowledge the higher power a certain way. We all, tap into that higher power in different ways. There's all kind of different denominations of Christianity, of Islam, of Buddhism, of Hinduism, of all the isms. Like, everybody got a different take and interpretation on that, higher power. Whatever you want to call it, everybody perceives it differently. And I can't, one circle can't go into another circle's way and be in perfect spiritual harmony doing it their way. You know what I mean? So, like, we're not all the same. We all have different mental health needs. We all have different mental triggers. So, to stay in good mental health, we have to look at it a certain way. I can't view it the same way you view it. You can't view it the same way my culture views it. So, said all that say, we're not all the same. So, in this health and wellness section of the Narrator podcast, I give health and wellness tips geared specifically for my people, original people. So, yeah, to each their own. I'm going to my own. So, yeah. The types of tips I give in the health and wellness section is like on the physical side of it, plant, herb, extract, elixir, vegetable, fruit, roots, compound that you can ingest or apply topically to increase your physical health, or a type of physical exercise you can perform to increase your longevity. On the mental side of it, a way that you can stay in, I give tips on how to stay in perfect mental health. Spiritual side of it, like I said, the spiritual realm is real, and we are being attacked through the spiritual realm. Especially us, those of us living here in America. There's a whole lot of demonic type stuff, activity happening, and you need to be aware of it and recognize it and how to, guard your spirit against it. So I give tips on how to do that. Mentally, physically, and spiritually. Yeah, so yeah. I think I covered it. Everything you need to know about the health and wellness section of the Narrator podcast. Without any further ado, getting on into this week's health topic. health and wellness tip. So I'll be talking about the health benefits of coconut water. So coconut water, especially those in Caribbean culture, this is a life-giving fruit. I believe it's a fruit. So coconuts are a fruit, a drupe actually, which is kind of, in botanical terminology, a fruit. I don't know why they only just call it a fruit, why they gotta call it a drupe, but it's a fruit. So it's a life-giving fruit. It's juice, it's nectar or water. It's highly advantageous to people that consume it. It's good for your skin, hair, and nails. You can eat the pulp, the flesh too, and then for the shell, you can use it to like hold stuff in. So you don't have to throw away any of it. The drawback is it only grows in like tropical type climates. So here in the States, we would only see coconut growing in places like Florida, maybe Texas. To cultivate, you would have to, anywhere else you would need a hot house to cultivate coconut. California, I believe, probably got coconuts as well. But it has to be like extremely hot, like borderline tropical, for coconuts to properly grow here in the States. It's good for your digestive health, good for your urinary tract, helps with your urination. Also good for gut health, good for the number 2. Bone health, bone density, and improves your heart health, regulates, the trans fats, and keeps the blood flowing to the heart. Unclogs all your arteries. Packed full of potassium, magnesium, and calcium, and also supercharges your cells and replenishes your electrolytes, so it keeps you hydrated. Antioxidant, and if you know what antioxidants mean, that's a fat burner. So if you're trying to lose weight, coconut water will help you do that, help you burn the fat. The biggest plus of it, you can drink a lot of it and you won't you won't flush out any vital nutrients. Unlike water, just plain water. What water tends to do is it flushes out, all that harmful stuff, but then it flushes out, the vital nutrients, the minerals. It flushes out the minerals too when you drink a lot of water, as we're all supposed to be consuming H3O2, which means you're supposed to be like eating your water. But with coconut water, you can actually drink it, sip on it, and what you want to do is go for the pink when you're consuming coconut water. If it ain't pink, don't drink. Because pink is just basically, it's healthy, it's oxidation. So real organic coconut water, when stored, is supposed to turn pink. If it ain't pink, don't drink. And like the best brand, my go-to brand is Harmless Coconut. Everything else, do not consume it if it says coconut flavored drink. Do not consume it if it has sugar in it. Do not consume it if it has agave syrup in it. Do not consume coconut water if it has anything other than coconut water. Make sure it says if it doesn't have any other ingredient. It shouldn't have no benzite, no benzene, none of the enes, none of the ites, none of the ides, no chlorides, no nothing. It should just say coconut water, and it should be pink if you're going to drink it. That it's not out of, if it's not out of the coconut itself. The only other thing that beats pink coconut water is like the actual coconut, and you tap it and you drink out of it. So like I said, you can eat the flesh of the coconut as well. Drink it, eat the flesh, all those same benefits. You'll get full. Taste wise, I don't know what to tell you. Like healthy stuff, that's the double-edged sword of healthy stuff. It doesn't taste the greatest. Coconut is just like I used to hate coconut as a child. I could not stand coconut. Still hate the taste. But now I don't mind it so much because I consume it so much. But I could not, younger, like I just hated it. I got a sibling, she always like, wow, I can't believe after I stop eating meat, I just can't believe you like coconut now. But, for the health benefits, you're just going to have to, suck it up if you want them health benefits. It's coconut, in my opinion, it does not have a pleasant taste. There's nothing pleasant tasting about coconut. But for the health benefits, yeah. I mean, a lot of cultures, they shred coconut up in their like cuisine, like coconut fried rice, and in Asian culture they make something called tom yum soup, coconut milk. So like coconut is just it's a really versatile food, super food, super healthy, super good for you, super clean. And coconuts, another thing about them, a factoid, they're just naturally resilient to radioactivity, natural resilient to pesticides. How? Because their outer shell kind of protects the actual coconut from it. So like it's brown on the inside, so like bugs never really get at it. You gotta like take, like when you see them on the television, when they gotta take the machete down and bust the coconut open. It's a lot of work to get to it for people. So it's a lot of work for like pesticides, for like bugs and stuff to get to the coconut. Animals, they're special. Like nature equipped them to deal with them, to open the coconut up. Like the monkeys, they got that super strength. They can get the coconut, but there's not too many bugs that can like get inside coconut. So coconut has a natural resilience for pesticides and radioactivity. So it's a forever clean food. There's nothing really they can do to a coconut to take it out of its natural form. And now of course they can bioengineer anything. They can grow anything in a test tube, but when you're dealing with a real authentic coconut versus something they cloned in the lab. And again, if you're going to drink like already coconut water, don't drink if it ain't pink, because natural coconut water iodizes. So yeah, that's the only way that can happen. Now they probably will at some point start adding the pink coloring to it. Some company, some wicked, evil, diabolical entity will eventually start adding the artificial pink to trick people into thinking that, you know, it's natural and it's not. But, you know, moreover, you know, pink is a good thing when you're consuming coconut water. So that's been the health tip of this week. Coconut water. And now for my next section. My next section is basically current events, current news, what's currently happening in the world today. I call it my speaking point. And my speaking point usually is something globally, something nationally that makes national headline news, something that makes global headline news, or something just trending within our community. And the purpose of me doing that is to control the narrative, because the media go out of its way to have us looking and sounding crazy. So this is me just unpacking it from our perspective, whatever's happening in the world from, you know, our perspective. So this week I will be talking about the brother of a brother that got gunned down and unalived in his residency. And his younger brother, his 16-year-old brother, a brother by the name of Andre Fortson. Andre Fortson is the brother of Roger Fortson. So if you're unfamiliar with Roger Fortson, Roger Fortson was a U.S. airman that was gunned down in his home by a police deputy in Florida. Now his younger brother allegedly was caught in a crossfire in his apartment complex. And so like a foyer, somebody was having a shootout in the foyer, and allegedly he in DeKalb County, and he allegedly got caught in the crossfire. And I'm saying allegedly because this happens you know, in July. His brother got unalived on May 3rd, and now Caleb got gunned down within the 3-month time span of his brother, and whom, you know, the sheriff department of that state is being investigated. Now it's said that somebody in the building that was having a firefight, a shoot-off or whatever, shootout, and he just happened to be in the line of fire and caught a stray. Which is kind of fishy to me. So you said he was in the Breezeway apartment complex in Florida. He said, you know, allegedly they're saying they're chalking it up to gang violence. They're saying, you know, 2 groups of people have had a existing like beef or whatever, and had been on site every time they see each other. So they say they got a young lady in custody involved in the shooting. They're not releasing a whole lot of information, and I'm really, from my perspective, how I'm from the outside looking in, to me it seems like, you know, the police of that county targeted this young man because it's getting hot. You know, one of their own was caught on camera unaliving a hero to our nation. And you know, the whole reason why he was pushing himself in the military to be so hard was to be a mentor to his younger brother to help change his trajectory in life. He didn't want his younger brother to be consumed in street life. It's really rough living in Florida. It's extremely violent. Many parts of Florida is like a third world country. Like, they have a lot of cultures mixing, especially like Spanish culture, Haitian culture. Like, they got a lot of cultural little gangs in Florida, but it's super violent. But it's not making sense. It's just not adding up. You got caught in a crossfire so there was just having a shootout like the OK Corral inside an apartment complex in Florida. It's not adding up to me. I could be wrong. I don't think I know everything. And I know, it can happen like innocent people often do. Get caught up in the mix and receive something they signed up for, receive something that they didn't sign up for. That's why I always tell my younger family, be careful about who you're hanging out with and, the type of environment you're in, because you never know. Accidents can and do happen. I just don't think that was accidental, because, he prided himself into being a mentor for his younger brother. To me, it seems like a retaliation type deal. From my perspective, they can't really focus on it right now because they're trying to, get justice for Roger, who was unalived by the police. This incident doesn't have any clear linking to the shooter, and probably will never have clear linkage to the shooter, especially if the shooter was a police officer. So they just saying they got somebody in custody involved in a shooting that happened in that apartment. What they're not saying was, the bullet from that shootout, was that, because I guess they had the firearm on the young lady. Was the bullet from that gun the one that unalived Andre? That's what's not being said. So to me, it seems like a clear case of retaliation. That brotherhood of the blue stuff. Because if you didn't know, the police are like the biggest gang in the world, especially in that part of the world. They have people, the gangs pay for, sell drugs for them. The gangs get other gangs out the way for them. They offer their services. They're paid under the table. I don't think that's out of the realm of possibility that, the police had somebody working for them to send a message to the Fortson family to, call off their lawsuit, because, he was so close to his younger brother. His younger brother was his world. So, that definitely, to me, it doesn't seem like out of the realm of possibility that the police would target his younger brother and try to make it appear as though he was just another statistic of gang culture. He was just caught up in the crossfire. It seems like really convenient. Just not even 2.5 months after Roger gets unalived, then his brother does. No suspects, no witnesses, because they know they messed up with the body cam footage for the first one. And I think they're going to keep on applying pressure to the family until they drop the lawsuit. That's my own personal unpopular theory, but you know, I can't conceive it just being an accident. He was in the wrong place at the wrong time. The timing's too off. But anyway, that's just my synopsis of it. That'll conclude this episode of the Narrator Podcast. Join me again next weekend for another all new episode of the Narrator Podcast, wherever you get your podcast information from. Remember to download this episode and all previously recorded episodes of the Narrator Podcast to keep up to date with the latest uploads of the Narrator Podcast. Follow me on YouTube. I'm Halsey Allen on YouTube. Hit that subscription button and notification button all, and then like, share, and leave me a comment on my YouTube channel. And then also on X. And the reason why you want to follow me on YouTube and X is because this platform that I'm broadcasting on automatically uploads to YouTube and X after I'm done uploading episodes. Yeah, so do that. Now X probably is the best place to, download the episodes, because when you hit the link on X, it'll take you right to, my podcast, and you will see all the options to download. You'll see the little heart-shaped like button. You'll see the comment box, and then you'll see the little 3 buttons off to the side where you can share it to, whatever platform, your preferred platform of choice. So yeah, either YouTube or X. Whatever you do, make sure you hit the download button, the little arrow pointing downward. Download this episode and all previously recorded episodes of the Narrator Podcast. Next thing I want to promote is I have written a book titled The Black Card. The Black Card is a 30-page book of poetry chronicling our experience as a culture, as a people, all the nuances of our culture, all our experience, both positive and negative, written in a real creative, insightful look at us. It's basically like a snapshot of our people in poetry form. A how-to or a survival guide, if you will. So yeah, real creative, real witty. It'll make a good coffee table read, a good gift. You can just really immerse yourself in it. Definitely see yourself in it if you're an original man or original woman. People outside of our culture, they can enjoy it as well if they consider themselves progressive and open-minded and like learning about new things. So yeah, go check it out. Go purchase the book today. Currently it's only available on one medium, and that's poetizer.com. Poetizer.com has their own virtual online bookstore for members of that community. If you're unfamiliar with poetizer.com, basically it's a community for novice writers of all genres. The predominant genre is, of course, poetry. It's in the name, poetizer.com. But it's basically like for hobbyists looking to become professional writers, but it's open to all forms of writing, poetry, novel writing, like if you want to write a novel, essay writing, even journaling. If you like to, journal, even that form of writing is welcome in that community. Short stories, whatever type, haikus, whatever you like to write. Well, I guess a haiku is a poem, but you know what I'm saying. Like all forms of writing are welcome in that community. But like I said, Poetizer.com has their own virtual online bookstore. The bookstore, all the books in their bookstore are books written by people in that community. So to access my book, The Black Card, simply go to Poetizer.com, go to their virtual online bookstore and look for my title, The Black Card, and purchase it. Under $30, good price, great book. You'll love it, you'll enjoy it. Go cop it now, The Black Card, or get your Black Card revoked. Next thing I want to plug is my personal poetry blog on blogger.com. It's called Halsey's Poetry Corner. The link is www.mrhalseysblogs.com, and what that is a collection of my personal poetry. The unique thing about my poetry posted on that blog is that I wrote all my poems spontaneously in the moment. So what you can do is you can enjoy it, and it's for everybody. All walks of life. I have quite a few, a little over a dozen specifically for our community, but for the most part, all my poems posted on that poetry blog are for everybody. Like any scenario, anything in life you can think of is on that poetry blog. And then to support the poetry blog, you want to click the and then also another unique thing about the poetry blog is I think I already mentioned it. It was just spontaneously written in the moment, and I didn't contemplate any of the poems written on the poetry blog. I just wrote them as they was coming to me. Like, they're so intricate and so detailed. You would think that I spent a whole great deal of time writing the poems, but that's not actually the case. They're just spontaneous in the moment. The way you can support the poetry blog is go to blogger.com at www.mrhalseysblog. Either share the link to Halsey's Poetry Corner or a poem featured on Halsey's Poetry Corner across all platforms. And then, also they have a comment box. Please, when you get to the link, leave me a comment in the comment box on Halsey's Poetry Corner. And then also click that little heart-shaped like button. That helps a great deal. And then the tagline for my poetry blog is called Halsey's Poetry Corner, Poetry with a Passion, Poetry for All Occasions. And, when you read one of my poems, you'll see they live up to that tagline. Because I literally have a poem for every conceivable thing in life, and every conceivable thing people go through and experience in life. But that's all my projects I want to promote. I went a little bit out of sequence, you guys, because this is a super late upload and I'm kind of tired. So I started at 11, so it's now Sunday, but it was like 10 when I got started. One last section of the Narrator podcast before I bring it to a close is my final word of the day. Wise word of the day, pardon me. And my wise word of the day is just self-explanatory. It's just something witty, something to just basically have you ponder and think and reflect on life. Just critically think about something and ponder its meaning, depth and complexity. That's what the wise word of the day is. So the wise word of the day is trust. Trust isn't something that you should just give away. Trust is definitely something that needs to be earned. You have to prove yourself to be trustworthy in order to have productive relationships, productive friendships, acquaintance, relationships. In a relationship, whether you're with a woman or you're a woman, you're with a man, and everything in between. I'm not going to address the everything in between. And the other thing, you need to trust is yourself. A lot of us don't trust ourselves to make the right decisions. We don't have enough self-confidence and trust ourselves to not let ourselves down. And we'll sit up here and second guess, our ideas. Like, nah, we'll talk ourselves out of doing something because we don't trust ourselves. We'll have a really good idea and then won't do it because we'll second guess. But the biggest thing you need to trust is trust the process. And I really don't quote things I come across online, but something I don't know that I wanted to write this the content creator's name down, but I forgot his platform. But basically he had this a motivational video. He does motivational videos, and he was talking about people take public transportation every day. You get on the bus every single day, but you don't know anything about the bus driver. You don't know his current driving records. You don't know if he or she ever been in a accident in their life. But you get on the bus, pay your fare, and sit down, and don't worry about it. All you think about is your destination. And then he said people don't know anything about pilots. When you're traveling by air, but you'll get on a plane, you don't know anything about the pilot. You don't know anything about the co-pilot. You don't know anything about the airplane in general, how many times it's been serviced. You don't know about the co-pilot, if they're qualified to fly the plane or not. But you'll sit in the plane and trust the plane. And then he went through the whole gamut, boats and everything, restaurants, all these things that we don't really think about, but we partake in and engage in every single day. Pardon me. So he said all that to say, you trust all these other things that's beyond the scope of what you can control, but you won't trust the process. And I was like, whoa, that blew me away. So I just want to tack on to what he said. You got to trust the process. We trust everything outside of ourselves. We trust everything. And then especially us living here in the United States, we trust our government more than we trust ourselves. We trust our government more than we trust the process. A government that's lied to us, let us down consistently and over and over again, use this over and over again, but we keep trusting it, but we won't trust ourselves. We won't trust the process. So whatever you're going through in life, you have to trust the process and believe that you're on the right track to whatever you're working on. And it's not going to be all peaches and cream. You're not going to get, the confirmation that you're seeking that whatever you're doing is actually working, but it's there. It is working because you're doing it every day. If you're consistent with it every day, you will produce the results that you need to see eventually. Because we all got a different path. We're all here for a different purpose. We're all being used by the higher power for a different reason. Whatever the higher power is, that whatever you call it, we're all here for a different reason. We're all being used for a different reason. You gotta trust the process and trust your path, trust your instincts. Don't hesitate, move on your first instinct. Mistakes will be made. You will have your shortcomings. You will have your downfalls. But you have to trust it's going somewhere in the right direction. Now, there'll be things, there's exceptions to everything in the rules. So if you're not going the right way, you will get a sign that you're going the wrong way. And you got to take heed to that sign that something wasn't meant for you, or there was a door that wasn't supposed to be open. But you got to trust it. When a door closes, that was the best possible scenario for you. It wasn't because you didn't try hard enough. It wasn't because you weren't good enough. It was just there was a clearer, better path for you. So again, you got to trust the process. When things are removed, you got to trust it was better for you. But anyway, wise word of the day is trust. I've plugged all my projects. Now, this is usually where I would plug the projects, but I plugged the projects before I did my final word of the day. That's how I usually do my weekend format. So remember to download this episode and all previously recorded episodes of the Narrator podcast. Be looking out this weekend for another full edition of the Narrator podcast. I am going to try to do it, Saturday indefinitely. This weekend was my fault. Like, I had all my notes together. I took a nap. I legit took a nap, looked up, and it wasn't the time. I procrastinated. So that was my bad. I'm taking accountability for that. I got to quit putting stuff off because I had everything done this time. Had everything researched, had everything done, had everything written out. And I just kept on blowing it off. And as an end result, Saturday's episode ended up being Sunday's episode. So if I would have just did it, at the regular time, if I would have started broadcasting at 6 or 7, then, it would have got, at a decent hour. But anyway, join me next weekend for another full edition of the Narrator podcast. So we're going to say Saturday/Sunday, but tune in to me throughout the weekday too, so you don't miss weekend editions of the Narrator podcast, wherever you get your podcast information from. And remember, I have 2 different formats. I have a weekend format and a weekday format. So I'm over 300 episodes in. Just go through my episode log and you will see the difference between my weekend and my weekday format. There's different as night as day, but still a good show. Still sharing positive frames of reference. We're going to change the narrative together. Go out there, have an awesome week. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. We're going to dominate the new week together. We're going to change the narrative. I'm Halsey Allen. I'm changing the narrative. one episode at a time. I'm asking you to help me change the narrative by becoming a narrator. And while I'm changing the narrative on my end, one episode at a time, as a narrator, you can help me change the narrative on your end, one social media post at a time. Until next time, Halsey Allen, the Narrative Podcast, signing off. And it's like that.
Listening to the Narrative Podcast with Halsey Allen. The Narrative Podcast is changing the narrative one episode at a time.